I've been playing Minecraft for years now, ever since October of 2012. In other words, that's older than about half of you watching. Over the course of my time playing the game, I've developed several opinions on the game's many features, some of which are definitely less popular than others. For the past 2 years now, I've been making a lot of rankings based on the game, and the comment sections have been very polite to tell me just how hot some of my takes are. So today, I thought it'd be fun to concentrate those hot takes into one video. However, I'm not just stopping at myself. As always with this hot take series, the first half of this video will be my hot takes, but the second half will be taken from you all on the community tab. They won't be the takes I necessarily agree with, just the ones I found to be the most interesting. With all that said, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right into my first take. So I want to start us off with a simpler one here, and that's the fact that I have never been a fan of the new Vex design. Well, I say new, but this is like a new Super Mario Bros. Situation because this thing has been out for a while. Now, for those of you that never saw the original Vex, here's what it looked like prior to update 1.19.3. While the idea between the old and the new are somewhat similar, there are quite a few differences, such as the model proportions and the face design. This was done in an effort to better align the Vex with the Alleg, which were being added to the game at the time. But I'm sorry, I just don't like it. Sure, the old one was just sort of the default player model but retextured, but that's also the case for several other mobs, so I don't think that's much of an issue. Still though, I can understand some wanting a unique look, but what I absolutely cannot get behind is the new face. The original Vex just had the most sinister grin among the mobs, but when they redesigned the Vex, they completely removed the mouth from its design. I personally think that is a huge shame, and it loses out on what I loved about the Vex in the first place. But despite that, I definitely seem to be in the minority here, as most people seem to like this new design. If you do, more power to you, but I don't think the Minecraft lore is enough reason for me to accept this change. If I want lore to theorize about, I'm gonna go watch more FNAF. Alright, the next hot take is quite literally a hot take. I'm talking about fire protection again. Now, I'm not really sure if this is a hot take or fire protection supporters are just really loud, but I think this is the worst non-curse enchantment in the game. And even then, Curse of Vanishing might actually be better. I've already thoroughly explained why I dislike this enchantment in 2 videos now, so I'll keep this brief. Basically, having this on your armor lets you take less damage from fire and lava, but if you have it, then you can't equip normal protection on that same armor piece. On top of that, protection already does a perfectly fine job keeping you safe in lava, allowing you to survive for over 30 seconds without eating food, and if you are eating food, you could basically stay in there forever. Not to mention there's also the fire resistance potion, so there's really no situation where fire protection is good to get over normal protection. Hopefully that will finally settle the matter with the fire protection kids. At least until I remake the enchantment video in a year or two. Well, speaking of enchantments, I want to talk about the one placement in that video that I probably got the most backlash for. Yes, even more than fire protection. What enchantment could I have possibly disgraced? Well, that would be Riptide, which I placed at 33rd out of 39. Now in hindsight, I do agree I was a little harsh. Riptide gives you the ability to shoot yourself forward, but it can only do so if the player is in water. The boost you get off Riptide is insanely fast, and combine that with the Elytra and you'll be zooming hundreds of blocks every second. But despite that, I still don't think this is a great enchantment. I would move it up on my list, yeah, but not too much higher. I still think it's quite limited by needing water to be placed. Plus you can't use channeling with Riptide, which I guess is fair since you don't want to strike yourself with lightning, but getting charge creepers for mob heads is the only reason I ever even bother getting a trident myself. It's certainly fun to use, but when you can use it, I just find it to be a bit too limiting for me. Nowadays, I'd probably put it at the top of C tier as opposed to D tier. Okay, now I want to go through 3 small ones before I get to my big hot take. So first off, I think the desert wells are pretty cool. Sure, they aren't the most useful structure in the game, but I don't think they have to be. I hear a lot of people get annoyed with the desert well because it doesn't have a chest to give you good loot, but I think the desert well works perfectly fine as a nice piece of decoration. Plus the added pottery shards were a perfect addition, so I'm actually a fan of these structures. The next small one is just the simple fact that I do think Minecraft Bedrock Edition does a few things better than Java. I often hear people completely write off this version of the game, which to be fair I completely understand in some cases. But there are a few things Bedrock does that I think would be amazing to see in Java. We've actually already seen a few Bedrock exclusives get added recently with lead boats and baby squids. On top of those though, I'd love to see things like Diable Cauldrons, the better impaling enchantment which damages anything in water extra, and pistons being able to push containers like chests. And finally, for this rapid fire round, I just want to mention again that I think travel works perfectly fine as is in Minecraft. A couple weeks ago I made a video all about this, so go watch that if you want more as to why. But for my biggest hot take of the video, I think update 1.9 was pretty solid. If you aren't familiar, this is often seen as the worst update in the game's history. The reason that is because of this being the update where the combat system was changed to what it is today. A lot of people don't like the addition of attack cooldowns and would rather just ban their weapons, but to be honest, I've never personally minded, and I actually kind of like how it adds some more complexity to combat. Now you have to make a choice between the sword's quicker speed or the axe's larger damage, which I think is pretty interesting. More importantly though, I can't call 1.9 bad even if I didn't love the combat changes because of how much other stuff came with this update. This introduced the offhand, which is both helpful in and out of combat. This update also added the best enchantment in the game, Frostwalker. Oh, and mending, I guess. But some of the most notable changes come from the end. Not only did 1.9 actually add the outer end islands, but end cities as well. That also comes with the addition of the elytra, which I've made pretty clear that I quite enjoy. The Ender Dragon boss fight also got far more interesting with a new set of attacks that he didn't have before. So overall, there was a lot of great stuff added here. I will eventually do a video ranking all the game's major updates, so spoilers for that, I don't think this will be placing low on the list at all. It's far from my favorite updates, but I think calling it the worst when stuff like 1.10 exists is a bit disingenuous. But now it's time to see what you wacky individuals said in the comments. This time around, we got some pretty good ones, because I disagreed with a lot of them. Starting off, we got one from Henry Cho 4249 who says, "The Phantom actually has some good qualities to it. It has a sick design, drops decent loot, the membranes are useful if you're too lazy to collect EXP for mending, and adding more challenges to the night if you like to explore the dark is a pretty cool idea. Its attacking mechanics just need to be changed a bit, and I think it would be a pretty good mob. It's also really fun and satisfying to spawn like 100 of them during the daytime and watch them burn." Yeah, I absolutely cannot agree with this take. For those of you who have not seen my mob ranking video from a while ago, Phantoms landed all the way in last place, below even the zombie horse who isn't even able to spawn. Now with that being said, I can at least give this comment some credit. The Phantom's design visually is pretty solid. I think it having such a great design is what got it to win the first mob vote, but unfortunately, we all got clickbaited. Well, I voted for Mob C, so it's actually all your fault. But outside of that, I just really dislike how the Phantom works. It makes building so much more tedious as it forces you to sleep, even if your area is lit up or in the sky. The Phantoms act as an annoying time waster, and I just can't get behind that design. And also, I don't think Phantom membranes are that good of a drop, unfortunately. Moving past that, we got Port0620 who says, "The villager trading rebalance is good. It only needs a rework to the anvil level." Now this I can say for sure is a hot take, but it's actually one I agree with. In fact, I actually made a video a while ago expressing why I thought the changes were good for the most part. Essentially, they make it so librarian villagers now trade books based on their biome. Each librarian is also guaranteed to have the same books each time per biome. I think that's a pretty interesting way to rebalance them, so if you want a mending villager for example, you'll have to get a swamp librarian and level it up, which I think is a fair enough challenge. Unfortunately, part of the change is also the fact that they can't sell max level books now, which is really annoying with the anvil XP limit, so if they just remove that, which they should have done ages ago, these changes would be pretty perfect. Chow Chow 393 says, "Don't Mind at Night should be the national anthem of every country." Is this even a hot take? That's just true. Semi-Hypercube left a pretty long one, but it was interesting, so I wanted to include it. Pause if you want to read the whole thing, but essentially they said adding the Ender Dragon at the end was a mistake because it created a sort of end goal for the game, when Minecraft is meant to be a sandbox. On the one hand, I can see where they're coming from. Games like Animal Crossing, for example, don't have a final boss like this because there being an ending isn't really the point. However, I disagree that it was a mistake to add. While Animal Crossing may not have a final boss, it does have pretty major goals like fully maxing your house, completing the museum, or getting the best store upgrade. Okay, New Horizons kind of forgot that last one. I think the Ender Dragon being here as a goal is a great thing, and the fact that there's stuff like the end cities clearly encourages playing after the end. In fact, I'd say elytras and shulker boxes are some of the most essential tools in any large-scale building project, so really the dragon is just one stepping stone to continuing the building process. So while I understand where you're coming from, I definitely disagree. The Ender Dragon is a pretty good goal for the game. Kappa Rumbrica says, 1.12 is a severely overlooked update and is one of the best pre-1.13 updates. This is one I absolutely agree with. 1.12 was known as the World of Color update, and as the name suggests, it added a lot of color blocks to the game. Those blocks were concrete, glazed terracotta, and 15 new bed colors. Now sure, the update didn't add much more outside of that, but for me, these are some of the most useful blocks in the entire game. Concrete is one of my favorite families of blocks since they work perfectly as a flat color for something. The different colored beds are really nice too. I love having the option to use any color of sheets I want. And glazed terracotta, I mean, it's there, I guess. Now I don't think people hate this update or anything, but people definitely look past it a lot seeing as it came out right before the update Aquatic, which many people rightfully see as a bit of a revival point for Minecraft as a whole. I think that is kind of a shame. 1.12 is definitely a cool update, and I think it deserves to be remembered. Speaking of things that deserve to be remembered, Happy Day 6471 says, "They need to bring back those minigames that were on the Wii, PS3, and Xbox 360 versions of Minecraft. Those were really fun to play with siblings." First off, Minecraft wasn't on the Wii.
That's what the kids call epic fail.
But aside from that, yes, I 100% agree that they should bring these back. I'd say for a good year or two, these minigames were the main way I was playing Minecraft. I remember after school, I'd very often get on the phone with my friends and play battle mode on our PS3s. You know, to add on to this hot take with my own, I think battle mode was easily the best take on the survival games concept I've ever played. No server has even gotten close. That's why I would absolutely love for these to come back in an official form, though I sadly doubt that they would do that. Newstar2248 says, "Minecraft needs more tutorial structures in survival, like how the igloo is a tutorial for curing zombie villagers, and the redstone labs in ancient cities are tutorials for new redstone mechanics." Again, this is another another pretty good take, I feel. Honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to them making an official tutorial world for the Java edition like they had on the legacy consoles. There are a lot of aspects about the game that just don't make sense unless you're told from somewhere else. Now that's not to say Minecraft doesn't have any tutorial elements. The advancements work as solid pointers, and the structures can also help sometimes as well. If I were to suggest a tutorial structure, I'd probably put something in the Nether that explains how to summon the Wither. I know we already have that one painting, but how are you supposed to tell that the brown blocks here are specifically soul sand?
Brown bricks with Minecraft.
Maybe they could just add a room like this to the Nether Fortress where the chiseled nether brick represents where to place the skulls. I don't know, but either way, I would absolutely be on board to see more tutorial aspects added to the game. Living Like Eli6785 says, Minecraft Story Mode is a series that deserves to be brought back and remembered. Okay, not really a hot take on the main game, but sure, I'm probably not going to get a chance to talk about this game later, so why not mention it now? Personally, I think I'm okay with Minecraft Story Mode not coming back, but I do definitely think it's worth remembering. I followed every episode super closely whenever they came out, and it was super fun to see every single route you could go down. Plus, what other game has the tragic death of Captain Sparkles? Hey, you guys want to see a comment I made on Captain Sparkle's Take Back the Night music video when I was 10? Mind blown, you are epic, I'm subscribing and make a movie of this and Fallen Kingdom combined. I think 10-year-old me had a point. For our final hot take of the video, we got one I saw quite a bit on the community tab as I was scrolling through the comments. The first one I saw came from Nintendo77 who says, I hate how you lose all your items when you die. I just think it requires extra work to get them back for virtually no reason, and it's really annoying. Now on the one hand, I can absolutely understand why people would say this. I mean, I'm sure every single one of them has a traumatic memory of falling into lava or something and losing hours worth of progress. That is far from a good feeling, but at the same time, I really feel like there should be a punishment for dying. I mean, if you don't lose stuff when you die, then where's the challenge in anything? It makes the game far less interesting to me when all there ever is to lose is maybe some travel time. Now luckily for the people commenting this, Minecraft does provide a game rule that allows you to disable the loss of inventory upon death. But for me personally, I'll never play with keep inventory on for a serious survival world. It makes things more fun when there's stakes. Maybe I'm just saying that because I don't die very often when I play, but for me, I am perfectly fine with Minecraft's inventory loss system. I would maybe make it so items don't despawn as quickly, but other than that, I think I'm fine with the current system. But anyways, that's it for this video. Do you absolutely despise light green glazed terracotta and hate me for liking the update it came in? Let me know in the comments. Super sorry that this video is really short compared to my normal output, but I've been getting a lot of work packed onto me lately, so I've been struggling a bit. Hopefully this video was still enjoyable regardless. But anyways, dry bones for Smash, and
I am Steve.
The movie trailer came out while I was editing. I had to throw that in. Anyway, see you guys next time.